Welcome back to Two Marks and a Spark. We had some issues getting a show recorded this past week, but we are back now and better than ever. And Russ, we just watched AEW Full Gear, and what the hell? I'm I'm tired, Russ.
I'm
I'm
tired
tired.
too. As usual with AEW, their pay-per-views go on too long.
Yeah, but this felt especially insulting when you consider how dead the crowd was.
Yeah, I was surprised. I figured with the New Jersey crowd, they might get some of that anger, get a fired up crowd, but they were not particularly engaged.
They were not they were not angry, they were not happy. They just did not care.
Overall, it was a pretty quiet crowd. It was. I was quite surprised,
So the pre-show of this
which I missed
interview.
because I missed the father son social media duo.
Well, I didn't see most of it, but I have seen AJ work in the past because he's an indie wrestler. He's worked before. He's been on the indies forever, but he didn't get big as a wrestler. He got big on social media for other stuff he was doing with his kids and their friends.
Right.
But he's been an indie wrestler for God, I think it's 15 years now.
So his success in social media, which stemmed from his success as a businessman, helped him to take advantage of his wrestling, to get it exposed.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we probably never would have seen the dude.
and he's not bad in the ring. He's definitely an indie wrestler if that makes any sense. Like he doesn't have the reps that you expect, but I could say that about a lot of people on this show that maybe they don't have the reps you would expect of a big wrestling promotion, but especially not on TV. To my knowledge, this was AJ's what, second TV match.
Yeah.
And what I saw of it, it wasn't terrible. I thought the program they did with these two was terrible. This QT Marshall Big Boom AJ program, I thought was terrible.
I
But
haven't seen QT Marshall wrestle in, I can't remember the last time. It's been years. I
well,
understand he works behind the scenes, does he not?
yeah, but the reason they had AJ work QT is because QT's a steady hand who's not going to hurt anybody.
Correct.
Well, speaking of steady hands who weren't going to hurt anybody, Private Party defending their tag titles to start the show against the Outrunners, Kings of the Blackthorn, and the Acclaimed. Dude, if New Jersey could have cared any less about the Acclaimed, I don't know how.
Boy, they really have fallen in popularity incredibly. The bloom
What
is
happened?
off the rose, if you will. And they're not a bad team, but they're going to have to do a heel turn or something. Anthony Bowens, I mean, the guy looks like $1 million.
Yeah,
He's a superstar. He's got the greatest physique since David Otunga.
surprised you remember David Otunga.
Well, I remember his physique.
Well, fair enough.
All right.
Anyway, Private Party wins this match to the surprise of no one,
Right.
and retain the tag titles.
Right. This was also it was appropriate. We had is it Rick Knox, the name of the ref?
Yeah.
Sometimes they call him Mike Knox, but that's a wrestler. But when you have 8 wrestlers in one match, it's going to be a clusterfuck. And Rick Knox is the perfect referee for that type of match because he basically, no matter how many people are in or out of the ring for whatever length of time or whatever they're doing, he kind of just stands there and looks around. You know,
He
he
kind of
looks
just
like
acts.
he's lost and he's not quite sure what he's supposed to do.
I think he is lost and not quite sure what he's supposed to do.
I
Any,
pick on the guy because honest to God, I don't think he does a very good job.
anyway, this match was 13 and a half minutes.
Okay, that's plenty long enough for this.
The next match was shockingly almost the exact same length and felt much shorter, which was Roderick Strong and MJF.
I thought this was a very well done match. MJF looked rested. It's been a while since we've seen him, but we have not been getting too much of him. Personally, I thought Roderick Strong. I'm glad he wrestled Roderick Strong instead of seeing Adam Cole again because Roddy Strong, he's in good shape, and I think he's been doing some. He's had a great run in AEW. I've been very impressed.
MJF clearly knew this crowd was dead because he clearly was not going to cut that promo before the match started. And
Right,
he's like, uh, give me the mic.
right. And he tried his best to insult him,
Yeah,
but maybe they're so used to it, it didn't really work.
that might be. Anyway, MJF ends up winning by way of submission, salt to the earth.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty well done overall. This was one of the better matches of the show.
Yep. Uh, the surprising thing here is the fact that it didn't go longer.
Yeah,
But I mean, you could have taken
same
Jay
length
White.
as the first match, but the first match felt longer.
Yeah. Anyway, and then they stall for a little bit, and then we had Mercedes Monet and Chris Statlander. This was Mercedes' best match in AEW.
Definitely, it was. It was her best match. The pacing of it was a whole lot better. I expected her to win, which she did, of course, but I expected nothing out of this match, and I was surprised. It was better than I thought it would be.
And then was it after this match or was it after the next match we got the Mariah May angle?
No, right after this is when we had the Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page.
Speaking of one of the better matches I've seen out of people lately, this is one of the Hangman's better matches.
Right again, and Jay White accompanied by Juice Robinson. Yeah, I thought this was well done.
Also, I know they were making Jay White look like a babyface tonight, but he's still a
Right.
heel, right?
Well, I think he is. It's hard to tell sometimes.
Like Hangman's definitely a heel now. We know that. Hangman is 100% a heel.
Oh, yes.
But I think Jay White's a heel. Anyway, this match went 20 minutes. It could have gone 5 less and I think I'd have been okay with it, but Jay White gets the win. They're finally done burying this poor guy.
Right. I'm glad too because he seemed a little lost so far in his run, and I felt like they haven't really taken good. Is he from New Zealand?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. And Juice Robinson is American.
Yep.
All right, Juice Robinson. They need to find something to do with him. He's a great wrestler. He's got such a great look, great big grin and wild eyes and wild hair, Charlie Manson looking motherfucker, you know.
I don't know if you know this. Did you know he's married to Tony Storm?
Uh, no, I did not. Juice?
Yeah.
Well, good deal. Good for them. I hope that they have many years of wedded bliss.
Well, I don't know how much bliss you have when Juice Robinson's in your house, but
Right.
guy's kind of crazy. Anyway, so Jay wins and then Hangman gets really mad
Yes, he
and
did.
starts beating
For a
the
little
hell out of
hissy
him.
fit.
Threw himself a little hissy fit, and that was the end of the segment after a pull apart. And then we had Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. This was the both longest and best match on this damn show.
We agree 100%. This was the gem of the whole
This,
show.
if there was a shining light on this show, this was it. Because there was by this point in the show, I think most of us had given up.
Well,
I
this was
think
great.
I think most of us who expected this to be a top to bottom great show had said, "Well, that's not happening." Uh and these two deliver in every single way, and Kyle Fletcher gets a win.
Yeah,
A, a
and
surprising
it
win.
was really well. The whole match from beginning to end was so well done.
So well done. Best match on the show by far, and probably a match of the year contender in my opinion.
And I kind of like that guy, that one lone guy in the front row holding the sign. I'm a Don Callis guy, but I wouldn't tell Don Callis that because he probably wouldn't give a shit less, But at least if he's in character, he wouldn't.
Then we had a shit match, and I don't know how else to actually know before this. We had Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May. Oh, good God.
In the champagne celebration, which ended
Could
up being a setup.
could this have gone to hell any faster?
Yeah, they could have just cut this whole thing out. They could have just done this in a little angle on Wednesday
Yep.
night, and it would have been just as important, just as good. There were stars that they had that were not on this show that could have had a chance to do something.
This segment clearly got rushed for time. Like they almost cut this very clearly.
Yeah,
And they probably should have just cut it and done it Wednesday
I think you're probably right about that.
and given it more time because this wasn't a bad segment. They should have just given it more time on a different show.
We didn't see enough shaking, correct?
Oh boy. Then we had an objectively bad match.
Are you talking about Daniel Garcia versus Jungle Boy? I'm sorry, the scapegoat, Jack Perry.
Yes, this match sucked.
What was your main problem with it? The length, or it just wasn't well paced, or what?
It just this whole thing felt off. Like these two just don't have good chemistry.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I also felt that after this match was over, it was about 10 o'clock, and we'd been through 3 hours. My body was telling me, well, it's time for the show to be over. It's time to quit. Then I thought, wait a minute, there's 3 more matches to go. Three,
Well,
which were apparently absolutely essential to have, correct?
well, two of them I would say were, and then the third one you could make a debate.
Correct. Or did you feel like Jungle Boy versus Daniel Garcia was the weakest match on the card?
That or the opening four way, yeah.
No, could
But
be. I don't think it was. I don't think I thought it was quite as bad as you, but definitely not a huge fan.
um,
This would have been a great place to quit those. Cut off your shows at 3 hours.
yeah,
Get
cut
the
off the
boot
shows at
from
three hours because
WWE. And this next match I had actually forgotten about. I had totally forgotten about Takeshita versus Ricochet.
this actually ended up being really good though. This was good.
Yeah,
I liked this match pretty much front to back. And there's really not much bad to say here.
right.
Uh, Ricochet got a lot of offense in, and you knew he probably wasn't going to win, but they gave him a lot. And Takeshita is just awesome. Like nothing bad to say here. This was probably the second or third best match on the show.
He hasn't worked before this. He hasn't worked as a heel, has he?
Who? Ricochet?
Takeshita.
Oh, he's
I,
been a heel most of the time.
okay. Well, I'm confusing him with somebody else then, because I'm thinking of somebody who looks like him, who was basically a baby face in New Japan. Oh well, I've probably
Any,
forgotten whoever it was.
anyway, then we got another awesome match. Swerve Strickland and Bobby Lashley. This was fucking great.
I was concerned how they were going to end this one because I felt like Swerve has been losing a lot, but I didn't really like him beating
Bobby.
Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah.
So I thought they can't let him beat Bobby Lashley. Otherwise, Bobby Lashley, they're bringing him in like this big monster. He's got to win this.
And he did with the Hurt Lock.
And he did it in very convincing fashion.
And Swerve did not get a lot of offense in.
Right.
I Again, there was some really good stuff on this show, but it was too damn long and there was a lot of stalling going on.
Yeah, there was.
And then we had the main event. And why this, of all the godforsaken things, was the goddamn main event on this fucking show?
I just don't understand why we have Orange Cassidy in a main event. I know he's popular with the AEW crowd, but
He's good. That's not the problem. The problem isn't that it was Orange Cassidy. The problem isn't that it was Orange Cassidy and John Moxley. The problem is it was at the end of a 4 hour show that was paced like a turtle.
yeah, it sure didn't help it.
Had this
Definitely
match
not.
been on a dynamite or
But
on a
this was a 4 hour show, and we had a 1 hour pre show with one throwaway match. But, some of their bigger stars were not on the show. Well, by the way, a lot of the people that I thought were going to show up at the end of this match, a whole bunch of people showed up, and it was very bizarre, was it not?
yeah, so Moxley wins in what is basically a 20-minute squash match where Orange Cassidy
This
has
one got
like
pretty bloody, too.
this had like 3 hope spots in it. Cassidy got 3 hope spots this whole match. They didn't even make him look believably capable of beating Moxley at any point, really.
No.
And of course, he doesn't. He gets pinned because you knew he would.
Yes.
And then I'm thinking, okay, that's it. Show's over.
Not quite.
And I would have been okay if the show ended right there.
Yes, it would have.
And then we get a schmoz of shit. I don't know how else to fucking describe it. So the finish comes when Yuta interferes. Busaiku knees uh, Cassidy in the face. That looked rough.
Right.
And then he gets out of the way. And off the Busaiku knee, Moxley hits Death Rider 1, 2, 3. That's the match. And then the best friends come back down. And then the Blackpool Combat Club or the Death Riders or whatever you want to call them come back down.
Right.
And it's this giant smaz. And then here comes Willow Nightingale. And then here comes Hangman Adam Page and he smacks Wheeler in the face with a chair. That looked rough.
Yeah.
And then he smacks John in the head. So Moxley's down. And Christian comes out and it looks like Christian's going to cash his thing in, but Page almost stops him and then he doesn't.
Yep.
And this whole thing took like 5 minutes and it could have taken like two. Uh,
Well, hey, can I tell you something though to be thankful for? We didn't have to see the learning tree.
Thank you for saying that because I
Yeah,
wasn't going to say anything, but you're right. We didn't have to see Chris Jericho on this show. Thank goodness. That's the only way it could have been any worse.
that's
Anyway,
right. Yeah.
anyway, I I could not for the life of me understand what the hell they were trying to get across here. So Paige and Mox have a stare down. Christian hits him with the kill switch, hits Mox with the kill switch. Paige tries to stop him from cashing in the briefcase or the contract or whatever. And before Christian can actually go to cash it in, Jay White comes out, hits him with a switchblade. So Jay White might be a babyface now.
Right.
God only knows what the hell's going on there. But
Yeah.
so that Christian doesn't cash in, and then Jay White gets in a fight with the fucking Death Riders.
Yeah. So we got about a dozen different directions that these angles could go.
Oh, we're not done. They said in the classic fucking what was his name from the OxyClean commercial? But wait, there's more.
Right.
There's more because Moxley and the Death Riders start booking it for the fucking door. And you know what? For the kind of night they had, I don't know that I blame them for
Yeah.
saying, fuck this. Let's fucking
Oh yes. Yep.
get me the hell out of
And
here.
then yes, I forgot about the little car accident.
So then, as they're going to the truck, it gets T-boned. I'm not. I'm not fucking kidding. They Darby Allin T-bones John Moxley's truck with nobody in it.
Right.
Real brighty, you Darby.
Well, I don't understand that kid. What the hell is wrong with him? Did his mama drop him on his head when he was a baby?
Okay, okay. If you're gonna hit somebody with the intent to stop them from running away from you, because that's clearly what Darby's intent was here, why wouldn't you wait till he's in the fucking truck?
Right. And then they grab some keys. They knock out the key guy and they
That
take
poor
a
bloke.
key and apparently he grabbed the right one and they steal a vehicle. Nobody ever calls the cops on wrestling shows, even when felonies are committed inside and outside the ring. The police are never called ever.
How many
And
felonies
and
did you
as far
count?
as how would you like to have to pay these guys automobile insurance?
Oh, how many felonies did you count in this last 2 minute segment alone? So
That's right.
first of all, we had attempted vehicular homicide,
Yeah.
uh, property damage,
Right.
uh,
Profanity. We had profanity.
oh, who gives a shit about that? There's profanity on this fucking show.
That's right.
We're kings of it. Fucking, I could not goddamn well believe how much shit was going on. And then Darby gets out of the car and he's limping and basically using his skateboard as a cane.
Yeah.
And then he gets up on Moxley's truck and starts beating the windshield in.
Yeah. He looked like he was throwing a fit, having a
So
tantrum.
vandalism.
Yeah. Vandalism, arson, murder, rape. Oh, I shouldn't say that. That might get us. I mean, uh, the R word.
So we on this show alone had countless felonies in the last 5 minutes.
Right. Nobody calls the cops.
No one. Russ, what would you give this show? What letter grade would you give this show? I gave it a C.
Well, that's about what I was thinking too. It would have been lower, except there, like I said, there was three matches that stood out as being quite superb. Will Ospreay versus Kyle. Um, Kyle.
Fletcher. There
Thank
wasn't
you.
really a bad match on this show. Had it been a shorter show,
Yeah. What are
how
they going
many?
to do with all these tag teams that seem to have no direction?
You know what's funny? AEW has the exact opposite problem of WWE. WWE sometimes doesn't have enough tag teams,
Right.
and the ones they do have, even if they have direction, don't
Well,
always have great.
I still don't understand, for the last year, why there has not been a place in the tag team scene for FTR.
Well,
It's a mystery to me.
they lost to Malachi and Brody in that really good match on Dynamite a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and it was a very good match too. I'm not going to knock the House of Black. They're very good. It looks like we're being teased about the return of Julia Hart.
I wouldn't be surprised. I thought maybe we'd see Adam Copeland tonight too. I thought there was a real chance he'd be back tonight. He's going to be
Right,
back any day now. He'll be back really soon. Um, when I don't know. But I think Adam Copeland's due back pretty much any time now in the next
right.
couple months.
Well, next week we are looking up coming out a week from today. We're coming up on Survivor Series 2024.
Vancouver, British Columbia.
Gonna have the War Games. Yeah, it'll be nice to have a show that's actually in the same time zone.
Vancouver is not in the same time zone. Vancouver
They're
is
Eastern.
they're west.
Okay. All right, I'll
Uh,
keep that in mind then. I'll have to start an hour early.
well, no, the show's going to start at the same time, but they're just on the west coast. Vancouver is just north of Seattle, so
Gotcha.
straight up the what is that I-5 out there?
Yeah,
Straight up
exactly what
I-5.
it is.
Uh, I could not for the light. Can we? I know this is an AEW show. I want to spend, and we're running low on time here. Can we, for 2 minutes, talk about that SmackDown angle last night? Well, probably Friday night as you guys watch this because it'll probably be up Sunday or Monday. Uh, that SmackDown angle that was so well executed with Roman Reigns in his bloodline and Solo in
This
their
was
bloodline.
this pre-taped?
Yeah.
I thought so.
So they do this whole angle, and it looks like it's really going to be 4-on-5.
Yeah,
And then you hear Paul Heyman, and this is right at the end of the show. Paul Heyman, and they were running up against the clock last night. I don't know if you were watching the clock at the end of the show last night. They were razor thin margins on the clock. And then Paul Heyman says, "Ladies and gentlemen."
right,
And then he points, and then he goes on a spiel about how it can't be 4-on-5 at War Games. It must be 5-on-5.
right,
And then he points up the ramp. Punk's music hits, and they absolutely get into a slugfest.
yep,
And the best part of this was the storytelling after. Roman spears one of the Tongans. Punk hits to go to sleep on the other. And then Roman looks at Punk and says, "What the hell are you doing here?"
right. This was
And,
this was good. This was the best moment on wrestling this week, I thought.
and Punk says to him, "Saving your ass."
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be an interesting show.
I cannot wait for Survivor Series. I am
I'm looking
so
forward to
excited.
it too,
I'm
more so
so
this year
excited.
than in the past. And I also want to say, a lot of people sometimes they ask me, "How come you cheer for the bad guys so often? Why do you like the heels?" Well, I'll give an example because look at that promo that Kevin Owens cut. Every single word he said was 100% gospel truth. There isn't anything he said that wasn't verifiable fact. But then somehow he's supposed to be the bad guy, you know?
And the
And
funny part
I'm
is,
like, I sympathize with where he's coming from.
everything Kevin Owens said, like you said, is not only verifiable fact, it was on video. It was caught on tape. It's on a
Yeah,
TV show.
that's right.
They have instant replay. They make liberal use of that shit.
Right. Well,
Anyway,
anyway,
folks,
I like Kevin Owens. I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a good match.
I'm looking forward to the entirety of Survivor Series, man. I cannot wait.
I also have to. Also, I didn't quite catch it. Is Jade Cargill injured or
I
just pulled from the team,
uh
or was that just a rumor?
I haven't heard anything official.
All right,
Um, but the fact that she's been pulled from the tournament as well should suggest that she's probably out.
you signed with that agency, that same. I forget the name of the company. Uh, they help sports people transition into TV and movies.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
company as Damian Priest, Edge. There are a lot of people have signed with them.
CAA
Is that it?
might be. Anyway, folks, we're going to get out of here. Everybody have a great week. Enjoy wrestling. We will see you next week for Survivor Series.
Yes,
Damon,
we will be here.
play our music.